Hi everyone, this is Sam with Wine News in 5. I hope you had a wonderful break and are feeling refreshed for the new year. Before I get to global news, I have a few pieces of site news. As of December 26th, our team at jancisrobinson.com has begun a re-release of a series of BBC TV programs filmed in 1992 and 1998 called Vintner's Tales. In these videos, Jancis conducts 10-minute interviews with notable wine personalities. The first two, featuring the late Harry Waugh and Bill Baker, are now up on YouTube. Next, Julia published an article on the region of Guria in western Georgia yesterday, and to my knowledge, it is the most comprehensive English language article on Gurian wine in existence. I highly recommend you check that out. On to the news. Today I'll discuss new forecasts from IWSR on the growth of no and low alcohol, NOLO, beverages, the continued decline in champagne sales, Cava's commitment to organic viticulture, the release of the Porto Protocol's Unpacking wine guide, and the U.S. Surgeon General's new advisory on alcohol. First up, forecast for NOLO beverages. According to a report published by the IWSR on December 18th, NOLO beverages in 10 key markets, Australia, Brazil, Canada, France, Germany, Japan, Spain, South Africa, the UK, and the US, are expected to experience 4% compound annual growth, CAGR, by 2028, with the majority of that growth in the no alcohol segment, forecast at 7% CAGR. New consumers of NOLOs tend to belong to Gen Z and millennial cohorts, and they're decreasing their purchases of alcoholic beverages. Because January is a month that tends to be especially big for non-alcoholic beverage sales, I would like to point out that my colleague Tam Curran published a compelling NOLO guide last month, and yes, it is compelling even for those of us who will not be abstaining. On to declining champagne sales. While the decline of champagne sales has been in the press since 2023, recent news is still disheartening. According to Wine Searcher, the annual December meeting of the Association Viticole Champenoise, the AVC, began with a statement from their co-president, David Chatillon, also president of the Union des Maisons de Champagne, the UMC, that 2024 champagne sales were likely to be down 10% by volume and 5% by value compared with 2023, which is a year that had already seen 8.2% drop in sales. So in the last 24 months, champagne has seen sales drop by almost a fifth. While this isn't good news for the wine industry, it's not terrible news for consumers. LiveX, which is London International Vintners Exchange, tracks fine wine pricing, and their Champagne 50 index has fallen by 26.3% since 2022. So if you're US-based, now might be the time to stock up on champagne. Donald Trump will be sworn into office on January 20th and has promised 10 to 20% tariffs on all imports regardless of origin. On to Cava's commitment to organic viticulture. Back in April of 2021, Cava announced that by 2025 they would require all Cava de Garda Superior wines, an umbrella category that includes Reserva, Gran Reserva, and Cavas de Paraje Calificado, to be 100% organic. On December 3rd, the president of the Cava Regulatory Council, Javier Pajes, confirmed that the DO would meet its 2025 deadline. While there are a couple PDOs, Protected Designation of Origin, that mandate organic certification, DO Penedas and AOP Les Baux de Provence, Cava is the first to incorporate organic certification into a PDO quality hierarchy. This means that while entry-level Cava can still be farmed conventionally, top-tier Cava must be organic. On to the Porto Protocol's Unpacking wine guide. Most people watching this know that wine quality has nothing to do with wine's packaging, and that every gram of glass weight in a wine bottle has a negative impact on that bottle's environmental footprint. For this reason, environmentally minded producers have begun to reduce bottle weights, use alternative packaging, and campaign for bottle reuse systems. But despite all the progress that's been made in recent years, it remains confusing which packaging options are the most environmentally friendly and what local regulations allow or require, which is why the Porto Protocol has assembled a 249-page guide on wine packaging. While this guide is geared towards producers, there are a couple things I took away that are important for us as wine drinkers. One, the successful implementation of environmentally friendly packaging relies on all of us choosing to buy wine in lightweight glass and alternative packaging. Somewhat obvious. Two, reuse systems rely on us to bring the bottles back. Recycling reusable bottles requires more energy than reusing them. Generally speaking, green and brown glass are more sustainable than clear glass. This is because clear glass is first use. As soon as it gets mixed in with green and brown glass during recycling, it's no longer clear. So don't be upset if your favorite rosé producer goes green. That was 3. 4, just because something is recyclable doesn't always make it the most environmentally friendly option. Raw material extraction, water use, and carbon emissions during manufacturing and transportation, as well as the end-of-life processing options that are available in the market where the product is consumed, all play a role. For example, the bladder in a bag-in-box isn't recyclable in many countries, but BIB still has the lowest carbon footprint of any packaging option. I'll include a chart from the Porto Protocol Guide that shows the relative carbon footprint of different packaging options. But please keep in mind that manufacture and recycling is different for every country, and the chart is based on Nordic countries, which have an incredibly high recycling rate. Finally, about 10 hours before this newscast was recorded on January 3rd, the U.S. Surgeon General, Dr. Vivek Murthy, released a new advisory on alcohol and cancer risk. The new advisory calls for an update on health warning labels for alcoholic beverages to include cancer risk, as well as a reassessment of the dietary guidelines for alcohol consumption. Ultimately, it's up to Congress on whether they want to implement these recommendations. The advisory focuses on cancer, and it doesn't take into account all-cause mortality. Last month's report from the National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine, NASEM, found that moderate alcohol consumption is associated with lower all-cause mortality. Read more about that in the December 21st newscast. That's all for this episode of the Wine News. If you enjoy this newscast and you'd like to see it continue, please subscribe to jancesrobinson.com. And if you have breaking news in your area, please email me at news@jancesrobinson.com. Thanks, guys.